I offered her some of my homemade lasagna.
Some lasagna, we serve it with cheese.
Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily Reddit content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. Today we've got a return to r/LegbeardStories. Well, these stories were actually posted in my personal subreddit r/ReddX reads, but you know, we're gonna split the difference for the sake of them tags, I guess. We've got user Eli EIO returning with a 3-part series so far. I think it's gonna keep going on, but this is about Undertale leg, and apparently it's kind of edgy, gets kind of deep. I'm not sure completely what to expect. I hope it doesn't get me demonetized, because that was one of the main worries that was presented to me. But I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed and just, you know, be a big brave boy and at least see what we've got here today. So let's get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way, and then we will dive right in to Undertale leg and all the cringe therein. Undertale leg, Part 1, My High School Nightmare. First and foremost, thank you to ReddX for reading some of my previous stories. You have no idea how much that means to me and the pride that I feel hearing my tales narrated by you. Hey man, I appreciate you sharing the stories with us, or else, you know, I have no content. So if you want to see some of Eli EIO's previous content, we've got the alpha neckbeards, and then we've also got a neckbeard that was attacked by a dog in a pet store. So I put those links in the description for you guys if you want to check it out. But I think that this is going to be the magnum opus, at least from what I'm understanding, at least so far. Let's see about it. Hello, fellow neckbeard undergrads. I'm back once more with a story that I was encouraged to share by the lovely members of the ReddX Discord. Nice, subtle plug, nice. This is a tale that's going to be more intense than my others and really requires multiple parts to allow you to fully grasp this unhinged human being. To begin, let me give you our cast list. Bunny, Norwegian fitness junkie. She's fairly passive a lot of the time and pretty good at managing the rest of us idiots. Cat, our resident Legbeard, who reeked of cat urine, just like Stealthbeard, but was otherwise fairly pleasant. And Undertale, the woman, the myth, the nightmare. So fair warning, there will be discussions of rape and mentions of kidnapping in this first part, and it really only gets worse from here. So buckle in and hold on to your Bibles, because we are going to take a road trip through hell. Oh God. It all started where most high school memories are made, in the lunchroom. I'm not sure exactly what our discussion was about that day, probably just reading off a god-awful Wattpad book in an overdramatic fashion. 'Twas the era of werewolves, after all. That was when our dear friend Kat suddenly walked up with a person that none of us had seen before. Undertale wasn't your typical Legbeard, if I'm being completely honest. She was actually rather pretty, if a bit smelly. She had an odd sense of dress, wearing a bunch of mismatched anime clothing that somehow worked when you put it all together. She had these gray eyes that were genuinely stunning and really held your attention. She, however, was a wolf in sheep's clothing. Cat, hey guys, I was wondering if my new friend could sit with us today. Bunny, oh, of course. Hi, I'm Bunny. OP, I'm Eli. Undertale, I'm Undertale. Undertale's voice was sort of raspy and small. It made you wonder if she was sick, but she wasn't. Well, at least not physically. Her and Cat sat next to me, Undertale picking at her food for the entire lunch, only taking a couple of small bites. The school lunch is pretty shitty, and I always overpacked, so in a rare moment of food-related generosity, I offered her some of my homemade lasagna. OP, here, if you want, you can have this extra slice. Undertale,
Really? You're so kind, senpai.
To clarify, having someone call you senpai is not weird at my school. This really wasn't a huge red flag. The red flag came when she ate hungrily and then turned to look me right in the face and say, Undertale,
"You're so nice, and this is way better than the school stuff. Maybe I should lock you up and make you my personal chef."
She proceeded to do one of those over-exaggerated giggles, and I just laughed awkwardly. The next few lunches were equally awkward, with her making increasingly uncomfortable remarks about me. Things like,
"Your skin looks so touchable.
and
I just love seeing how brightly I can make you blush."
now, I'm not and wasn't a pushover. I didn't take shit and told Undertale off. Kat got mad at me and said Undertale was autistic and that she needed some gentle guidance and help. I didn't really care for that excuse, but I did try to word things even more directly. Things came to a head when Undertale slid up very close to me at lunch, leaned in close, and whispered, Undertale,
"Have you ever had something shoved inside you, OP? I think you'd be really cute begging someone to stop."
oh God. I stood abruptly hearing that and just shook my head as I left the cafeteria. I went straight to the security officer, who promptly told me not to worry, and he dragged her off to the principal, kicking and screaming. This is long enough, so I'm just going to end part 1 here. Thank you for reading, and remember to drink some water and eat a fruit, just to switch some things up. Aw boy, OP, you fed them, and now they're never gonna leave. That's just how these things work. Now, I don't know if she actually is autistic or not. That is one of those things that needs to be approached with some caution. But regardless of if she is or not, it's not really an excuse for bad behavior. You signed the social contract by being born just like everybody else, so, just try and cool it. None of the stuff she said would really make me blush, like touchable skin. Okay, that's kind of Silence of the Lambsy. Until we get up to that last sentence, like struggling with something inside you. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Please don't talk about that. We can't be friends anymore. That is one sentence that will make me leave the friend group. I'm gonna take whoever I can with me, but if Kat insists on keeping this Undertale girl around, then I don't know if I can sign off on that. You only get so many lunch times in this world, and I ain't spending them here. Anyways, I guess we'll see how things devolve even more in part 2. Undertale Part 2, Forced Friendship. Previous part we just read. Hello, fellow Neckbeard undergrads. I'm back with part 2 of Undertale's story. Our cast list changes a bit this time with 2 new additions. KK, who was one of Undertale's minions. He was a neckbeard, of course, who would worship the ground that we walked on. Stud was the other minion. He was pretty much a bully who enjoyed trying to intimidate others. We left off my last story with Undertale being dragged away, kicking and screaming to the office. You may ask, OP, did she get any serious consequences? Was she maybe suspended? To answer your questions, nothing happened. Yeah. As a kid with autism, she was given a brief talk. However, someone did get in trouble. I was brought in and screamed at by her teacher. He accused me of bullying her and threatened to call my mom. Now, my mom is a teacher as well, and I believed she would be more likely to believe a fellow teacher than to believe me, and I begged him not to call her. He agreed on one condition. I had to be a friend to Undertale. I could practically hear the funeral march playing, but I accepted his terms. Now that I'm older, I wish he would have just called my mom. Knowing her, she would have ripped him to shreds for being an idiot, but hindsight's 20/20, and my nightmare was only just beginning. Undertale sat with us at lunch, again, much to the surprise of Bunny. Kat was overjoyed that we were
all friends
and kept talking about
setting our differences aside.
Oh, Cat. Ever the optimist. I kept talking to a very bare bones minimum, mostly one-word answers. Undertale took these as signs that I was, of course, her new best friend. So she would blab to me for the entire lunch period and then follow me to class to keep talking. What did she talk about? You guessed it, the hit indie game Undertale, which is actually a pretty freaking cool game, but fandoms ruin everything, okay? That's just how it works. I would highly suggest liking things, but not ever becoming a fan of things. You know what I mean? But I can't live your life for you. She had a series hard-on for a skeleton named Sans, and would go on and on and on about him. Even if I didn't talk, she would just keep going. The stench of BO and heat of large bodies already made the walk to class horrendous. I did not need to hear about this skeleton that she wanted to bang out. I found my comfort during these trying times in writing at lunch in my notebook. Of course, this drew our Legbeard's attention, and she would constantly ask
what I was writing about.
I gave vague answers and danced around the questions. I didn't want her to invade my one escape from her, and I guarded that notebook with my life. Undertale was exceptionally curious, however, and she decided that
she needed some help.
So she called upon her minions. They came one day to our table and sat down on both sides of her, and I immediately knew what would be happening. KK, what you writing? OP, stuff. Stud, stuff. Like what stuff? OP, just stuff. KK, well, then you wouldn't mind if Undertale took a look. Stud proceeded to reach across the table and try to grab my notebook. I pulled it away, but he wasn't a small guy. He wasn't tall, but he was heavy set, and a lot stronger than I was, incidentally. He pulled away and handed it to his beloved Undertale, who looked so insufferably smug that I wanted to punch her teeth in. She began to read over the pages, and then put the notebook into her backpack. Jesus, what a jerk. OP, give it back, Undertale. It's not yours. Undertale,
well, I want to read and I'm not done yet, so I'll give it back when I'm done.
Bunny, Undertale, you can't just stud. Shut up! Bunny, excuse me? Don't tell me to shut up. Bunny stood up, and Stud seemed to realize that he had bitten off more than he could chew. Cat just sat awkwardly and shifted around in her seat. There was this air of tension before Undertale promptly took off, like a full sprint out of the lunchroom. I hope it was a Naruto run. I never saw that notebook fully intact again. The horrors inside will be posted in the next part. Thank you for reading, and remember to eat a vegetable and drink some water. I guess I can buy that Undertale Leg would have some neckbeard minions surrounding her, especially considering that OP mentioned that she was a good-looking girl in the first part. So, you know, these neckbeards, they thirsty. They just trying to get a little sippy sip. Cuddle up next to her and such. But unfortunately, she only has a boner for Sans. I'm into skeletons. I'm big into skeletons. Oh boy. It kind of reminds me of the notebook in the Namikun saga where Ramtide steals the notebook away. The book of spells. Except this time OP is having the book stolen, and it ain't a book of spells. It's just a tactic that he's using to try and divert attention away from himself, which apparently has completely blown up in his face. It did nothing but gain attention, which is unfortunate, but at least OP hints towards seeing the notebook again, albeit somewhat defaced. I guess we'll see just how badly defaced in the next part right now. Undertale Part 3. What do you mean you're right about skeletons boning? Get it? Get it? Because they're made of bones and they... Never mind. Hello, Neckbeard undergrads. 'Tis I, the man without a plan, and your very long-suffering narrator. Since my workplace has become more concerned with my safety, they sent me home for 2 days while they figure out the camera situation, which gives me time to bring you the next part of the Undertale saga. I'm gonna have to ask you what you mean by that in Discord, because I don't know what you're talking about. I'm glad you're getting some time off, OP. More stories for us. That's always nice. I hope you're enjoying it. The cast stays the same, excluding the appearance of my father being a decent parent for once. Dang, shots fired at Dad? More questions arise. Warnings for sexual content and mentions of, oh, stepbrother, what are you doing? Oh no. The next day, after Undertale didn't make an appearance, I went to a different teacher to try asking for help with getting my notebook off of Undertale. Unfortunately, this teacher basically told me she'd tell her to give it back, but besides that, there really wasn't a ton that she could do. I was devastated, and when I was waiting for my dad to drive me home, I was in tears. I wasn't like a crybaby or anything, but that notebook was just incredibly important to me, and the fact that I most likely wouldn't be getting it back ever was genuinely soul-crushing. My dad noticed and was genuinely concerned. Dad, Eli, what happened? OP, some kid stole my notebook, and the teachers don't think they can get it back. Dad, really? Don't cry and snot about it. I'll try and figure this out. My dad isn't a very nice person, in complete honesty. He has a hard time showing his feelings and emotions, but if nothing else, he does care about his kids. A bit. When we got home, he went to our barn and made a phone call. He came back inside, patted my shoulder, and just kind of smiled before he went to his room. The next day, I was called into the principal's office. I was pretty surprised because I hadn't done anything to get in trouble, but when I walked in there, Undertale was sitting in a seat, already teary-eyed and snotty-nosed, and on the desk was a shredded and torn notebook. Principal,
Eli, you're not in trouble. I got a call from your father last night about some stolen property.
OP, my notebook? Principal,
Yes, Undertale has returned it, unharmed.
shredded and torn, also unharmed. I looked at the notebook on the table and my gut dropped. OP, that's not how it looked when she took it. Principal,
Undertale, tell me the truth. Is this the notebook you took?
Undertale,
Yes, I just dropped it in a creek on my way home.
Principal,
Well, you should have said that in the first place. Eli, why don't you take your notebook for now and go to class? I'm going to have a conversation with Undertale.
Undertale began to wail, and I took my once intact notebook full of stories and walked to class. I sat through 2 classes, my mind racing over what could possibly be left of my notebook. Did she put anything in there? Did she just leave it? I had no idea. When lunch came, I had to have my answer. I can't believe you didn't just open that notebook up in class, OP. That is an exceptional amount of patience. I would have checked it immediately. But yeah, I guess maybe. Then it gets taken away by a teacher. It's probably a lot harder to get back than from some weird kid. I sat at my lunch table a bit early, settled in, and began to read. Oh, how I wish I had just thrown that notebook away. Undertale did in fact write in my notebook. She drew in it too. Can you guess what fine art she put in my sacred notebook, dear reader? She put Undertale porn. Specifically about 2 characters who are brothers ducking. Ducking? That's not too bad. You just gotta watch out for your knees. No, I know what you meant. Well, one of them was clearly underage. She also wrote about her desires to
Have a pet that would do nothing but sexually satisfy her and let her do whatever she wanted with.
and this included drawings of a person that was tied up and blindfolded, locked in a cage with dildos lying around them. Oh no. I closed the cursed texts, my now cursed notebook, and put it in my backpack. I felt unclean. And the fact that she wrote and drew all of that in my notebook, it was disturbing, to say the very least. I'm gonna cut it short because now I feel a need to shower and maybe get a baptism or two. Remember to drink some water and eat a vegetable. Oh boy, here we go again with the warlock mate bonds. Always with the warlock mate bonds. Is this part of the ritual? I think this might be part of the ritual. This Legbeard is definitely a handful, and I do wish that we had a part 4 to dive into, but we don't quite yet. But I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting and lurking. I do kind of want to know more about why OP is so attached to this notebook. Honestly, I probably would have pitched it. It's torn, it's ratty, it's disgusting, and now it's got unholy acts being depicted inside of it. It's done. It's over. I throw it away. I buy a new one. That's fine. It's pretty obvious to me that Undertale has a much darker side to her. It kind of reminds me of that castration beard, Nadia. Did you guys watch that video? Oh my god, that was one of the worst Legbeard, probably the worst Legbeard I have ever seen. But Undertale Leg definitely holds some of that disgustingness in her heart as well. Not necessarily a fantasy that horrible, but maybe. That's all I can really say. Who knows what is actually going on? If this is the stuff she decides is okay to share with the world. Oh man. I do get a little bit worried for OP. I mean, obviously OP comes out of this alive, but I really hope that you don't come out of this scarred for life. Because as we've learned in most beard tales, neckbeards and or legbeards are not to be underestimated. Sure, they look like funny clowns and whatnot, but the desperation inside them can usually spawn something dangerous. So, keep your head on a swivel, OP. I hope everything turns out for you. Undertale Part 4. Sleepover Shenanigans. Hello, fellow neckbeard undergrads. 'Tis I, the man without a plan, and your narrator. ReddX recently read the previous 3 parts of this saga, and listening to his heavenly voice and being trapped at home inspired me to write this next part. Well, thank you for that. I would have waited for 3 more parts, but you know, I figure, whatever, we should just do this thing. We do have a trigger warning here for mentions of transphobia. As you can guess, Undertale avoided me for about a month. However, after that month, she came right back to the table with Kat, holding a new spiral notebook. OP, what do you want, Undertale? Kat,
Undertale has something to say to you.
Undertale,
I felt bad about your notebook, and I got this for you. I'm really sorry, OP. I promise I won't invade your space again.
I was impressed. It was a genuine apology and a brand new notebook. There was effort put into this. I took the notebook and sighed, and I accepted the apology. I felt like she did deserve a second chance, and she did too. Well, initially. She was managed thoroughly by Kat, and I didn't despise her fully during this time. It was the golden age of our relationship. Though that didn't last, of course. These events happened during sophomore year, and as the first one to start driving, my friend group and I made group trips to the outdoor mall in the next town over. We'd go there and then sleep over at Bunny's house on the weekends where my dad was like too hammered to function or would just generally start fights with my mom, though we would stay at mine when my dad was MIA for the weekend. On Bunny weekends, my mom would give me $20, and my dad would give me $20. Forget, and then give me another 20 before sending me off. This was one of those Bunny weekends, and Undertale was invited by Kat to come along. I pulled up to her house, which was very nice and clean. It was on the nice side of town, not too far from Bunny's place. The cars in the driveway were pretty nice too. She was actually loaded. We went inside and met her very normal parents. I wondered if this was some kind of prank show, but soon enough, Undertale indeed came rushing down the stairs. Undertale's mom. Okay, behave, Undertale. If you need anything, just give us a call. She then proceeded to hand her daughter $50, and Undertale just ran outside. No thank you, I guess. I felt bad and turned to her mom. OP, thank you. I promise nothing crazy is gonna happen. Undertale's mom. Thank you so much. Undertale's always been a lonely girl. I'm glad she's made some friends. Here, for gas. She handed me a 20 and winked. Well. Her dad didn't speak much and just nodded before going upstairs. And so the adventure began. We went to several different stores without incident. The only weird thing was that Undertale was attempting to pay for everything. I brushed her attempts off, as did the others. She got increasingly mad and pouted in the back of the car as we made our final stop at the grocery store. We all picked out 3 snacks and a drink before we went up to pay. Undertale was still pouting as she paid for her chips and candies, alongside a bottle of ketchup. What are you gonna do with that ketchup, Undertale? It seems weird. She only stopped pouting when we got to Bunnies and began playing Cards Against Humanity. Yeah! What an awesome game. The night went well, with Bunny's mom buying pizza and letting us rent Jaws for the 50th time. That was when we brought out the Dare Bowl. The Dare Bowl is a game where we write down dares on slips of paper, fold them up, and then everyone else pulls out a slip and acts out the dare, as long as it isn't illegal or inappropriate. Simple rules, but quite unbreakable. I see what you did there. I wrote down something really stupid, and I assumed the same about everyone else. The drawing began, and I agreed to pull first. My dare was to shower fully clothed. So into the shower I went, fully dressed. I even lathered with soap to really get the effect. After everyone got to have a laugh, I went into the guest bedroom in the basement and began to strip down. Now, the door doesn't have a lock on the guest room. Uh-oh. But I had announced that I would be changing so everyone would know not to come in. Or to come in, as the case may be. As I was down to just my chest binder and boxers, the door opened, and Undertale peeked in. Undertale?
OP, I was...
OP? Shut the door! I'm changing! Undertale?
Oh my god! You're a transsexual?
I blushed bright red at this and rushed over, shoving her face away and closing the door. Cat and Bunny heard the commotion and came over, beginning to argue with Undertale as I finished getting redressed and stormed out. I fully planned on beating the ever-living shit out of her. Undertale looked between Cat and Bunny and began babbling rapidly about me being a
coos boy
and
a trap.
Bunny had to physically restrain me as Cat took Undertale aside nervously. Undertale ended up calling her parents and left that night. Thank God. She refused to even look at me. Bunny kept trying to soothe me, but I craved LegBeard blood. Things only got worse, and I'll go over that in the next part. Honestly, reliving this memory and the things that come after hurt me pretty bad emotionally. It might be a bit before I update because reliving this was really, really hard. Anyway, remember to eat a vegetable and drink some water. Oh man, I think Undertale was just being a jerk because she liked you, OP, and then she found out they have matching genitals and she's like, how can this be? Bro, it doesn't matter. You had an emotional connection, right? Get out of your little box, you know? Maybe try out something different if you want. Whatever, I don't care. Definitely do take all the time you need getting these parts out. You know, we're not trying to pressure anybody or like cause undue emotional distress or something like that. This is the same thing that's happening with the stealth beard videos, you know? OP is getting them out very slowly because it's an exceedingly difficult time in their life to sit down and relive for a bunch of, you know, potential strangers. So I do not blame you at all. Take all the time that you need. Eventually we'll have all the parts together and we can smush them up into one nice big fat video. But for now, yeah, take your time. It seems like these LegbeardStories cut a bit deeper because they are like emotional, you know? That's not to say that neckbeards don't cause emotional scars as well, but the legbeards just seem a bit more adept at cutting people as deep as possible. What a ride, man. Life was good.
Life is good. You know what I mean? Like,
Undertale Part 5. Frogs and Stoners. Yeah, Stoners is pretty chill. Frogs is pretty chill. I can see where this is going. Maybe. Hello, fellow Neckbeard undergrads. 'Tis I, the man without a plan, and your very tired narrator. Oh man, I think we all been there before. I hope you rest up, OP. You rested up for like a month. You're good. Welcome back to the fold. I'm gonna warn you now that this part is fairly depressing. I'm gonna warn you now that it contains mentions/acts of animal cruelty, suicide, and transphobia. Pleasant. KK and Stud also reappear, so you know things are gonna get nasty. Anyways, let's get right into this. After that night, which was basically the night that Undertale Leg saw our OP in a state of undress and found out that they were trans, Undertale began to tell literally anyone that would listen that I was trans. A majority of the school didn't care. However, Undertale's minions, KK and Stud, decided that this was a grand opportunity to begin a sort of hate campaign against me. Yeah, man, those 3-person hate campaigns, they're really getting your head. I guess it's different if you know them in real life and stuff like that, but I really don't think it can be considered like a hate campaign if you can count the people on one hand. Not to detract from your story, it's just jokes. They began to sit with us at lunch and loudly make comments about how
Trans men are just confused women who need a man to correct them.
and
The only good transsexual is a dead transsexual.
yeah, you know, that stuff that is clearly normal and decent to say. I muscled through though, mostly because I had my friends to lean on. Well, I guess that's good, but like, couldn't you evict them from your space or find another space where they couldn't find you? Like, I don't think just sitting there and taking it is the best answer in this scenario. Run from your problems, OP. Sometimes it works. Then came junior year. Kat made the decision to cut me off and begin dating Undertale. Blech. Bunny had ended up moving 2 states away due to her dad's work, and that meant that I started junior year completely alone. Damn, sucks. I began to spend all my time in my room, and I rarely, if ever, ate lunch or breakfast. I began to fail classes, and always felt a sort of total numbness. Not comfortably numb, like the Pink Floyd, no, just regular numb. This sort of numbness and boredom is why I picked up a drug habit. But no, don't do that, don't do that. I'm not advocating for that, to be clear. At one point, I even drove up to a lake near my house, contemplating just driving over the edge into the water. Damn. The main reason that I didn't was because I knew my dog wouldn't understand why I was gone, and my mom would probably end up blaming herself. That's heavy, man. Now I feel kind of bad for joking about it earlier. I think we've all had thoughts like this, and if you do have thoughts like this, it is a good idea to contact somebody. There's lots of free therapists, people who are willing to talk to you, even online if you don't want to talk to them over the phone. I'll pin some resources in the comments, just in case you do need the help. I dragged myself through every day, not even able to go to the bathroom that I preferred anymore, because Stud and KK would follow me in and bang on the stall door almost every single time. I had to go into the nurse's bathroom just so I could make in peace. I was in a spiral, but luckily, eventually things began to change. I ended up in a science class that specialized in native ecosystems, and it meant that we spent a majority of our time outside in the fields and creeks near the school. I fell in love with this class, enjoying every second of my time. It was a haven, an escape from everything else that was going on. The teacher and I became bros, and she would give me special tasks that she only gave to people that she trusted. Things like collecting live specimens for the observation tank and maintaining the fish tank of the local species. One of my other tasks was observing the local frog population. Bro, this does sound like a pretty cool class. I'm kinda into this too. Get yourself out of the classroom, go experience the world and such. Basically, I'd go out to the pond that fed the creeks, and I would look for different types of frogs. I would tally them, take notes of breeding behavior, tadpoles in the area, stuff like that. I would do this every day after school, in mostly the same areas, and that was where I met who we'll call Andrew. Andrew was in my year at school, and I'd seen him skating around our school and the ponds, but never really talked to him. He was a stoner longboarder and very popular with the ladies of the school. Oh, I guess I know what voice he's getting. Oh, people seem to hate that voice, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Also, how can you tally tadpoles, man? We have like a good few days of rain here in the Philippines, and ponds are just completely filled with tadpoles. Every puddle in the street just has like 1 million frogs in it. Maybe not 1 million, but a few thousand at the least. I'm gonna take a video one of these days, post it up on Wifey's channel. You gotta see this. It's unbelievable. You could not tally them if you tried. Long story short, frogs are badass. We met when I was knee deep in the water, wearing waders and boots, as I explored the reeds to try and see some juvenile frogs. Andrew walked down near me and cleared his throat to get my attention. Andrew. Hey, I seen you around lately and I was kinda curious, what you're doing. OP, just looking for frogs. Andrew. Oh, to eat? Or just cuz? Cause I got a major case of the munchies, man. Yeah, frog legs pretty good. Not by themselves, but with butter. Really, they're a butter conveyance device. And for as much as we knock butter on this channel, God, it is just so delicious. It adds so much. Don't let the neckbeards keep you from butter, my friends. But I digress. OP, it's actually for a class. Andrew, cool. So you like frogs? OP, yeah, they're cool. Andrew, nice. I'm Andrew, by the way. Good luck with your hunt. If you're ever thirsty or anything, I always got an extra water bottle with me. Oh, mad cottonmouth. After that day, Andrew would visit me at the same time, talking with me and getting to know me a bit more. He would bring me snacks, candy, drinks, and cool frog-related trinkets all the time. Damn, dude, Andrew really is a G. Why is it that stoners can just vibe all the time with anyone? Too cool. He would sit and watch me hunt, helping me keep my things dry and helping with taking notes. He encouraged me to improve my grades and to eat 3 meals a day again, and he introduced me to his friends and made sure that I always had someone to sit with at lunch. Yeah, he's a good egg. He's a good noodle, that Andrew. This, however, seemed to enrage Undertale. It was a normal lunchtime, Andrew sitting next to me, and we were talking when a smell wafted through the air. The earth quaked and the sky cracked as Stud and KK sat on the outskirts of the group, their beloved leader and my ex-best friend attempting to squeeze in close. However, Andrew had heard a very censored and sort of babied version of what had happened, and he immediately pushed himself between myself and Undertale. Andrew, no, you need to leave. You're not welcome here.
You're sitting with a transsexual, right? That's not even a guy.
Andrew, he says he's a dude, so he's a dude. Leave, now. What I say about that stoner vibe, man? 100% chill. I like Andrew. KK butts in.
Don't talk to her like that. She's right. That thing next to you.
OP, shut the fuck up. Just leave. Stud moved around the table and grabbed my shoulders. One of my other new friends, Kevin, stood up, removed Stud's hand from my shoulder, and shoved Stud back roughly, sending him to the floor with ease. Stud, who had made my life hell, for months with the help of KK, began to cry. Yeah, that sounds about right. That's bullies for you. Punch him one time. Undertale began to freak out and rushed forward at Kevin, biting him on the arm. Oh, somebody get this feral child away from me. I got up and Andrew basically guided me to a quieter area as our other friends pulled Undertale away. Of course, security showed up. Everyone was taken to the principal's office, all of us sitting like kicked puppies outside the principal's door. The principal ended up giving us a warning to stay away from each other. But Undertale, she was suspended for 3 days. Sorry, this was more exposition and less legbeardy. I figured we all needed a bit of a breather before we get into the part where Undertale goes to jail. Anyway, drink some water and eat a vegetable. Yeah, I think Undertale got the harsher sentence because she's probably done some stuff like this before. She got a bit of a record, you know what I mean? I didn't get in a ton of fights in high school, but the principal seemed to know that, so I would always get a shorter sentence than the people that I was fighting. Then I come back to school before the other guy, and they'd be like, well, why'd you come back early? And I'm like, because I won. I got suspended for a shorter time because I won. Which, of course, wasn't true at all, but it just made me feel cool. And also, I was sarcastic and jokey. I guess some things never change. Oh, I'm so glad you were able to find some new friends. Definitely better friends, and they are willing to protect you. So, I hate to resort to platitudes and the like, but it really is always darkest before the dawn. You know what I mean? It can't be that bad forever. Especially if you're pushing yourself to make things better for yourself, you know? You found this science class that you really enjoyed, spending time outside, basically opening the door and giving somebody the opportunity to come, take some interest in you, and become your friend, which is just beautiful, man. I love that. I am sorry that you had those rough points in your life, but I know that we've all had something similar at least once or twice. So I just want you to know that you are not alone, and I'm glad you hung in there and found some people that you can now consider your tribe with the vibe. But I'm eager to see how Undertale ends up in jail, so I guess we'll just forge on into the last and final part of Undertale Leg. The finale of Undertale Leg, aka Undertale goes to jail. Hey, that rhymes. I like it. Hello, fellow Neckbeard undergrads. I know, I have left you without any delicious content. But, you know, I have a lot going on in real life, and recounting the past on Reddit hasn't really been a priority. We all understand that. No worries, I razz you a little bit about the break, but I do definitely get it. I'm happy to take a day or two off myself every now and then. So OP's sorry, but immediately forgiven. And hey, I'm here now, so that's gotta count for something, right? Anyways, remember to subscribe to ReddX, hey, and join his Discord, hey. I'm always pretty active there. Just avoid the pornos channel if you have a weak stomach. Yes, sorta. It's been taken over in a lot of ways. It started out as like a sarcastic thing where we would just post like vaguely sexual images. And then one day, I think it was DevilBeard that started all this. DevilBeard heard me read his story, jumped into the server, and just image dumped all kinds of hentai. And it was game over from then on out, man. Now it's like all furries and latex and this type of shit. I don't even look at it anymore. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I should make like a kink channel or something like that, but I don't know. I don't want the Discord to turn into like a not safe for work thing. So I just lets people have day fun. You know, maybe one day I'll implode it if it goes too far, but as of now, it seems to be thoroughly enjoyed, so I just leave it alone. I'm sorry if it scarred you, Eli. Okay. I'll start for real this time. I'm not even gonna put a character list so we can just get straight into it. Just kidding. We didn't get a character list in the last tale, did we? I do need kind of a refresher, I think, so let's do this. We got OP, your long-suffering narrator, who really deserves a goddamn break. Bro, are you me? Andrew is a chill, longboarding stoner who's been attempting and succeeding in socializing me. That's what I always said about these, extroverts adopting introverts in a way. It's really the only way that the truest introverts make friends, I think. I haven't made a single friend since I've become so introverted, mostly because I'm 30 years old and nobody wants to fucking adopt me. We also got Kevin, Andrew's friend that was the overly friendly class clown. Undertale, the woman, the myth, the local horror story. She found herself in a sticky situation. Oh boy, how's she gonna get out of this one? Kat is the ex-best friend who also found herself in a sticky situation with her girlfriend. Just desserts, I suppose. Let me set the scene of this fine spring day, dear reader. It had rained the night before. The sun was out, flowers were in bloom, and toads were abundant in the nearby fields. Senior year was beginning to wrap up, and life was good. Undertale had begun to actively avoid me, and her henchmen had tucked their tails between their legs upon seeing me with my new friends. That's right, it's all over for you. That is a beautiful thing. It was a Friday, which meant Andrew wanted us to come over to his place and gorge ourselves on the finest of McDonald's cuisine. While watching some of the most bizarre and stupid horror movies that you ever laid your eyes on. Those were good times. You ever watch The Stuff? The Stuff from like 1985? God, I love that movie. That's one of my favorite stupid horror movies. First and foremost, though, we had to get our food. I drove us to the sacred Tendy Palace. And of course, there was quite a crowd of good boys turning in their good boy points at the counter. By the time we go up there, the very underpaid and tired employee just told us that, we're frying up some more nuggets now. It'll take a while, so you might as well just wait. Don't tell me what to do. Hardly the worst news in the world, really. Besides, freshly fried chicken nuggets are the best chicken nuggets. Just like Mama used to make. That was when it happened. Like a scene out of a Western. The doors opened and a breeze whipped by us. Two figures stood in the doorway. A discarded McDonald's bag drifted by as they walked inside. Clink, clink, clink. Okay, the McDonald's bag thing didn't happen, and neither did the Spurs, but both of those things would have been really funny. Standing there was Undertale and Kat. They both walked in, and Undertale did a rather overdramatic double take seeing us. What? The employee saw them, and a certain life sprang back to his face. Employee, I already told you to. You can't come in here after what happened. Undertale, that was like a month ago. Besides, we're paying customers. Kat, yeah, and it wasn't that bad. Employee, no, out now, or I'm calling the cops. As quickly as they came, they left. Well, they actually just kind of stood right outside the door, peering in like starving orphans. This is the perfect descriptor. I love it. Don't change a thing. Our nuggets continued to fry, and the tensions continued to rise as Andrew kept making nervous glances towards the door. Andrew, fuck, dudes. I don't know if we could just walk by them. They seem a little fucked up. OP, no shit. Best we can do is muscle by and hope for the best. Kevin, come on. They can't be that bad. Whoa. I'm sure they'll ignore us if we just ignore them, man. Andrew, love you to bits and pieces, bro, but sorry to say, they are assholes. Yeah, but there's only 2 of them and 3 of you. You're gonna be just fine. What's the worst that could happen? What's the worst that could happen? That's what people always say before the worst does happen. The employee soon called up when the nuggets were done. We paid, and then Andrew smacked his own forehead. Andrew, bro, why don't we just exit through the gas station and sneak around to Eli's car? Fucking Genius! To explain, our McDonald's is inside of a gas station, so there's a second exit to a back area to pump some gas. We were just so worried that we kind of forgot until Andrew rubbed his brain cells together and got an idea. A rare moment of actual thought among high schoolers indeed. Yeah, I've seen quite a few of those McDonald's inside of gas stations. They also got Subways inside of gas stations. And when things like this excite me, you know we are already living in a boring dystopia. Anyways, Andrew led us through the horrors of the gas station and swiftly out to the now slightly colder spring air. We snuck around like a bunch of idiots to my car and got in quickly. As we did though, Undertale noticed and fucking lost it. She began to rant and scream about teleportation and the people in the pipes. What, you see some Mario Brothers or something? Kat was desperately trying to calm her as we peeled out of the gas station and drove to Andrew's house. Bullet dodged. We had a great night, and the entire next week there was no sign of Undertale. She got lost in the pipes, bro. The crack pipes. We did, however, have an assembly. It wasn't on the schedule before, but everyone was called into the auditorium where 4 officers and 4 drug-sniffing dogs sat. Or maybe she was on crack. We were told to drop our bags on the floor and let the dogs sniff them. Uh-oh. More officers and dogs were in the senior hallway and out in the parking lot as well. Everyone's heads were spinning as to what was going on when one of the dogs started to bark. A collective ooh rang out among my classmates as everyone turned to see the culprit. If you guessed Undertale, yeah, you're half right. The dog was losing it while trying to sniff between Undertale and Kat's bags. Both girls looked about ready to fucking piss on themselves. Okay, we're gonna play a fun game now, reader. Can you guess what drug they were searching for? I'll give you a hint. It's not derived from something that grows in nature. I'll give you 5 seconds, and no cheating. Okay, let's see. Cocaine comes from plants. Heroin comes from plants. LSD, they're not cool enough to do LSD. Or DMT. I think DMT's natural anyways, isn't it? Not derived from a plant? What the fuck, man? Ecstasy? MDMA? Molly? Something like that? I guess we'll see. If you guess crocodile, you're wrong. That's a deep cut. Actually, that cut is so deep that your leg is rotten off. Don't do crocodile. Or any drug, really. Unless you want to. Whatever. I can't live your life for you. It was meth that they were looking for. Fuck. I'm so bad at guessing games. So guess who had small amounts in both of their backpacks? Yeah. So they were tweaked out, dude. Why would you go to McDonald's twacked out of your mind? The last thing you want to do is eat at that point. Maybe they were specifically looking for OP. I don't know, man. There's something going on there. Turns out someone had dropped a tip about a senior at our school possibly dealing or taking meth, so they wanted to have some drug dogs come over to see if the rumors were true, and it turns out that they were. There was an almost impenetrable silence until an officer tried to grab Undertale's arm. Ooh boy, did it just turn into a spectacle. As it goes with Legbeards. Undertale began to scream and was attempting to shove past the officers while Kat just broke down in tears. Everyone got to watch Undertale get tackled. Gotta love that. Officer Jacobs, we're gonna need you to spear tackle this high school girl. With pleasure. And she was dragged out of the auditorium, bawling loudly. I will admit, a small part of me greatly enjoyed that scene. See, it sounds like more than a small part. We were dismissed, and everyone was just kind of in a state of, did that really just happen? Dear reader, it did happen. It happened, and we all had the pleasure of witnessing it. So let's get to the epilogue. Where are they now? Well, Undertale went to prison for 10 years because she resisted arrest. Plus, she was 18 at the time and therefore an adult. Holy cow, man, that judge was not lenient whatsoever. Kat was still 17 and only served 5.5 because her dad is a lawyer who painted her as an unwilling participant. Plus, you know, she didn't resist arrest. But still, 5.5 years of your life? Bro, that is so ludicrous. She's gonna start her adult life out as a felon. Like, you basically just flushed her entire life down the toilet because she had a little bit of meth on it. Drug crimes are such bullshit. I don't like to get political, but that is one hill that I am willing to die on. And also to the people who may ask, no, that's not what my brother's in jail for. Andrew ended up deciding to explore the world after he graduated. I have no idea where he is now, in all honesty, and I miss him lots. Should have stayed in touch with him, man. Social media is everywhere these days. You could stay in touch with anybody from anywhere. I still talk to my mom and my grandma. I'm 7,000 miles away from them. On the other side of the world. Stud ended up getting a job at the local game shop where he still works to this day. KK ended up getting married to a freshman girl whom he got pregnant. Classy. How does that work? Bunny's getting married soon and still resides in Norway. We do talk on occasion. OP is still at home and only recently decided what to do with his life. I know the tale was a bit jumpy and odd this time, but the events were bizarre and are still talked about in town to this day. They basically became the poster child for anti-drug campaigns in our schools. Remember to eat a vegetable and drink some water. Oh, and don't do meth, unless you want to, whatever. You just have to remember to take personal responsibility for your choices at the end of the day. So yeah, bit of a wild one. If you gave me 1,000 guesses as to why this Legbeard went to jail, I don't think that I would have gotten the answer right. What the hell, man? That seems so random. But, you know, I guess it does happen. Those girls was heading down a bad path, and it's a shame that Undertale had to take Kat with her, but like I said, just desserts. You left your friend behind. Started dating an obvious creep. So at the end of the day, I guess I can't feel too bad about the way that things went, but it definitely went a way that I did not expect. I don't think of high schoolers like getting into drugs and all this sorts of stuff, but I mean, I did do it back in high school. It just seems way different now looking back on it decades later. One of my friends in the Discord was sharing some pictures from high school, and I was like, Jesus, we were doing MDMA at this time, and we were fucking children. Look at us, we were children. Nowadays, I ain't gonna touch that shit. But you know, I might revisit it when I'm 80. Whatever. Just gotta make sure that I don't go to jail over it. God damn. That would be the worst of the worst. I'll tell you that much right now. So yeah, bit of a weird one, but definitely good to have another saga under our belt, especially a Legbeard saga. You just love to see them. I do hope that you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, I hope that you'll like, comment, and or subscribe. Maybe share it around or wait for the compilation and then you can share that around. It's a little more digestible, isn't it? I also hope you check out all them links in the description. We got my personal subreddit r/ReddX reads, mine and wifey's channel, Mr. and Mrs. ReddX. Teespring, if you're trying to rock that merch, my Amazon affiliate link, which currently goes to my microphone, but if you click through there, buy anything else on Amazon, I get kicked back a little bit of money, which is pretty cool. If you're trying to buy something anyways, you know, it's like a win-win or something like that. We've also got my social medias, Twitter, Discord, Facebook, oh, and Patreon, and my gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons. Look at all these names, god damn! I would like to thank them all, as always, but especially Robert Waits, TSM Kirby, Teddy the Police, Aaron W, Delicious Jelly Donut, Candy Sora, Fire Drake, Liverson, Silent Revolver, Zathras, Zero MMX, Little Lone Wolf, Vanilla Mel, Ralph Stour, Ashley T, Aaron Lennox, Fisher Diggy, James Cook, JM Kun, Jerry, John Hero, KK, Miss Monday, Melgar the Destroyer, Mr. J, my boy Nat One, Nick, Lady Nix, Katikins and Elizabeth, Sidestep, Cider Drinker, Serrated Ass, Siegfried, Staples, Yeet, Synaptic, Boomstick, Brilliant Tomago, Tato Ferret, That Duckin' Bug, Fusky, Redwind, Goose's Honk, Leon Embers, Naga Viper, John Indoors, A-Roxers, Cake Jerry, That's a Different Jerry, Crafty Kitty Cat, Mark 211, maybe next time, Organic Cam, Princess Rosalie, Ghosty, The Last Shinobi, and the maestro himself, Zuka Cervantes. Yes, indeed. And if you notice when we was doing the scroll, there's a new name in here. So thank you very much to Derpy Tricks. Getting it in before the end of the month. You know I love that. We're on a 4-day streak for them patrons, which is freaking beautiful. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Obviously, if anybody else would like to support, that is absolutely massive. I thank you very, very much in advance. But if you can't do it right now, then don't sweat it too hard, friends. I just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope that you come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow, because really,
The views is how my beard stays buttered.
In order to do so, you need to keep yourself safe out there, wash your hands, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe watching some more ReddX videos. It's like Oprah. I don't know what went on there. Anyways, I hope that you guys will always remember that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I will see you in the next one, and until then, friends, bye-bye.